Hey everyone, I'm Chris from Champion Helmets, and today I'm going to be comparing the Shoei GT Air 2 with the Shoei Neotec 2. So Shoei have obviously tried to corner the market when it comes to touring helmets, and that's because these two helmets, the GT Air 2 and the Neotec 2, are going to really sit at that top level when it comes to the full face and the modular helmet touring categories. And because these helmets do look very similar, I'll point out the biggest difference between them. This is a full face helmet. If I take the chin bar, it doesn't move. But on this one, the Neotec, if I take the chin bar, I can open it. Magic. Yep, so full face modular helmets. To be honest, that's the biggest difference between them, but there are some other smaller differences and plenty of similarities. So first of all, I'm just going to go through the similarities. I'm going to kind of knock them out of the way. So both helmets come with Shoei's AIM material for the shell, and it's going to be mostly fiberglass. Then the shell is also available in 3 different sizes. And the similarities don't stop there. We have a very similar visor mechanism. The visor itself is not that different. Ventilation is also pretty similar. They're both prepared for a center communication system, steel micro ratchet enclosure system on each one. The liner is pretty similar. They both have drop-down sun visors. Yeah, what more? Well, what I can say is that even the differences are quite slight, and there's not a whole lot between these two helmets, except for the main thing, which is that this is a modular helmet and this is a full face helmet. That's going to be your biggest kind of difference overall. Looking at the ventilation, the differences are going to be mostly stylistic, and the function is going to be very similar between the two helmets. The top vents here are a good example of that. You can see they look a little bit different if I put it on its side. You know, but they function almost exactly the same, and the output is also very similar between them. It's the same with the chin vent here. It's more of a lip on this one, whereas this one, it's more of like a block. But again, it's going to be very similar in terms of outputs. At the back though, we do get the main difference, at least stylistically, because here we have vents coming out from underneath this little wing, whereas here they're in these ridges up top. But we do also have a bigger kind of wing at the back for aerodynamics, which is a cool difference. But you know, when it comes to the ventilation, to air coming in and air going out, it is very, very similar. So the visors on these helmets are going to be the exact opposite of the ventilation, and that's because they're going to look very similar but function differently. So on the Neotec 2, we do have the CNS3 visor, and on the GT Air 2, we have the CNS1 visor. And I think the main difference between them is the mechanism, but also the fact that we have like a lip here and it sticks out a bit more from the mechanism in the shell. And that's going to come, I think, because of the modular feature of the Neotec 2. Whereas here, you know, it's just straighter. It doesn't stick out as much from the mechanism and the rest of the shell. I think basically that's the main difference. I mean, they're both pinlock lens prepared. The mechanism is very similar. They have cracked CD positions, which is a nice handy feature. And they both also do have a drop-down sun visor. As you can see on the Neotec 2, it's quite simple. You have it up, you have it down. On the GT Air 2, also quite similar. You can have it up, you can have it down, but you do also get a little bit of extra functionality because you can just take these 2 little toggles here, and then you can put them up, and the sun visor won't drop down as far, so you can personalize that to what you prefer, which I think is cool. It's a nice little bit of versatility that you can get from a helmet, and I always appreciate versatility. So I've taken the liners out of these helmets, and you'll probably be able to see that there's very little actually between them. They actually look like the exact same liner. Also, I'll take the cheek pads here. The main differences on the cheek pads, this is the GT Air 2s, this is the Neotec 2s, and this one has an emergency quick release on the GT Air 2, the Neotec 2 does not. That's really one of the main differences really between the liners. Then let me open this up for you. You can see the EPS, there's some decent channels for your ventilation, a few holes. It's going to be very similar as well here between the two helmets. So let me take the GT Air 2. You can see there, very, very similar. There's a few less holes up top in the EPS of the GT Air 2, but really, when it comes to ventilation, it makes very little difference. It's quite similar. So the liners and the EPS and the insides also. Not a whole lot of difference between these two helmets. Both helmets are also prepared for a center communication system, and it is mostly the same except that The GT Air 2 has the Sena SLR2 system, and the Neotec 2 has the Sena SLR1, or just the Sena SLR. And the main difference between them is where the microphone is housed. On the Neotec, you just kind of had a free-floating microphone. It just sticks out here, kind of like stops like that. Whereas on the GT Air 2, on the inside here, there's a cutout for the microphone to actually fit into the shell. So the main reason that's happened, I think, is because, you know, you can't have something in the shell of the Neotec 2 for the microphone, because every time you open your chin bar, you're just going to be pulling wires out and making issues there. Plus, every time you open your chin bar, then you're not going to be able to use your microphone, which kind of defeats the purpose of a communication system. So that's the main difference really between these two communication systems. In terms of weight, the GT Air is lighter, mostly because it's a full-face helmet. It weighs in at 1,450 grams, and the Neotec weighs in at 1,650. So we do have a 200 gram difference between these helmets. Both these helmets are size M's as well, so it's a fair comparison, and it's what we expect. Modular helmets are typically heavier than full-face helmets. So we have given these two helmets our beep test, and the beep test is designed to test how many decibels are blocked by the shell and the liner of the helmet, stuff like that, in terms of engine noise, environmental noise, kind of like harsh, straight noise. Wind noise is a different issue, and I'll tackle that in a second. But the Neotec 2 scored 27 against a control of 13, meaning it blocked about 14 decibels. The GT Air scored about 23 against a control of 18, meaning it blocked about 5. So big difference there. This was an exceptional score for the Neotec. We haven't had anything come even close to that. Whereas the GT Air 2, it did pretty average. Not good, not great, just about average. So it's a pretty fair result, and when it comes to wind noise, I would say that the GT Air 2 is a little bit better. You don't have to worry about any air seeping in through this little gap here, but the visor seal and the ventilation and all that, when it's all closed up, it does keep a lot of wind noise out. Remember as well that you can find big discounts on these helmets in the product bundles on championhelmets.com, and besides this discount, you get a free dark smoke visor when buying any of these helmets, so make sure to check that out. Alright guys, this is pretty much everything that you need to know when comparing the Shoei GT Air 2 with the Shoei Neotec 2. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you also found it enjoyable. Thanks for watching guys, I'm Chris from Champion Helmets, and I'll see you all next time.